when you're playing Brig or Zen, which are the heroes that we've been reviewing a lot recently, you have a bigger impact on what you can support over here than over here. Like Armor Pack, Harmony Orb, it's not going to really affect this very much, but it will affect this significantly, right? And that should be the goal. It's the return on investment. You can Armor Pack your tanks. Yes, that you will get value out of that, but will you get enough? It's like, I don't understand what's going on. You're not on a team. Well, that's not a surprise to me. Okay, so without going too much into the compositional matchup, double bubble matchup, like your priority is obviously number one is like keeping your tracer and Echo engaged as long as you can. Priority on packing them. Having a pack available for your Ana is helpful, but it's not as necessary as it was with the Zen meta, where you needed a pack because you're talking about a hero that has less mobility, bigger hitbox, and no defensive cooldowns, where Ana has nade and sleep dart, and she's smaller, harder hitbox to move. So there's a lot of reasons why you don't need to be as conservative with your armor packs. Not to mention also the fact that it's harder for your Ana to heal your Echo and Tracer than a Zen. So, you know, there's a trade-off. It's easier. You're allowed to trade more of your cooldowns for your DPS, but you kind of have to. The other thing that we mentioned last time we went over some Brig or some McCree review, into double bubble review, is we talked about how a lot of the time as squishies into this particular composition, it is actually more important for you as Brig to avoid the dive than it is for even your flex support. In other words, unlike other metas where it's like, you know, you bash the ball, you're like, get up in their face, yada, yada, yada. Your job is actually in a lot of situations to avoid the damage altogether. Because the HP nerf, 250, 225, 200, so there's a lot less HP. The Inspire nerf, and just in general, the fact that you as Brig can peel dive or defend against dive without actually being on the dive. So your job is you cannot get jumped by monkey with a bubble, right? You can deal with a monkey without a bubble, okay, but you can't deal with a monkey with a bubble. There's no whip shot, there's no bash, there's nothing. There's just death. Death for you. And not to mention the fact that another bad thing about playing with an Ana is that your Ana can't heal you when you're inside of Winston bubble. For example, you get jumped, your Ana is outside a bubble, then there's all, you know, it's not like, oh, I can Harmony Orb you, you'll be okay. No, you're not. You're in serious poop. Hey, see, Midget, get some sleep. So the problem is going to be, can you avoid dives? Can you help your DPS prevent proper dives from happening? In other words, can your Echo and Tracer be pocketed properly so that they put good pressure on the enemy tanks, mostly the monkey? And then is your cooldown usage during the devolved dive going to be good? In other words, the monkey jumps, the bubble fades, do you get a whip shot, do you get a bash, and the Tracer, do you contribute something? Now, I'm not in communication with you, so otherwise I would talk a lot about your ult tracking. I'll talk a little bit about the end, remind me, because I think one thing that I always expect from main sports is really important. So, all right. The concern is that you don't have the bash for mobility. Like, I cannot stress to you enough how bash needs to be used as defensive peel in most circumstances. The only time I want you going in aggressively with bash is when you have a clear advantage that your team or as a unit are pushing. So here's the problem. Okay, gig feeds. Does it matter if you bash monkey jump? The answer is no. You're dying either way. You're directly in front of, what is this? Like, you can, like, a 93 charge Zarya and a nano monkey, and you don't have bash. You are glad, ironically, that Vita jumped, because that's the best thing that could have happened to you, because Vita Vita doesn't track sleep dart, Vita doesn't have bubble, and so he gets slipped. That's the best thing that could have happened for you, is for you to miss the bash. If you hit bash, you're dead. You're dead. And not only that, but you dropped to 31 HP, and I don't know how why Maximus backed off, but like you got naded, you got literally hard carried right here. So your armor pack usage, it's been okay. That bash right there, questionable. But you again see like your problem here? Like, you're in the thick of things. And again, I'm going to clarify. I'm not saying never do I want you to use your bash aggressively. I just need you to have a better idea of what's going on during the fight, or a command before you do this, because you've bashed the monkey, I think, right? I saw you bashed, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, now what? Now what? Like, what's scary here? You're on point. There's no real cover here. Do you need to be here? Like, I feel like you should be with your echo, pocketing your echo, and whip shot from here. You know, like, can you proc your Spire from here? Like, the goal is, like, again, there's just like this mindset that a lot of Brigs like have, Linky, even good ones, that every now and then they just slip into Brawl. It's like Zenyatta's, like the best Zenyatta's in the world, they do the W thing, right? Where they start to hit their shots and they start to just press W, right? It's like this default mindset of like, I must go forward. And I don't think it's the play here, because Icy staying alive is really important, but I can tell you what's even more important than Icy right now is this right here. And everybody who's watched my stream enough knows we talk about angles here, but it's not just the angle because, hey, if Dynasty pops off in the angle, you guys win. It's the angle because it's also where you're safer. It's just where you're safer. So it's like the same value, arguably, you know, but you're safer. And like you take that trait every single time. So like, is Icy, so no, like Icy dies. And actually this is really important as well. Hindsight's 20/20, but Icy dies despite your support. You don't proc Inspire, you don't keep Icy alive, and look who dies. Dynasty. So you get nothing. You get nothing done. You don't get any benefit out of playing that aggressively at all. The only benefit maybe being proccing Inspire and being in a position to use your cooldowns on Icy. But he dies anyway. But again, like I reiterate your point. Your priority is not your stupid Zarya or your Monkey. If they need help, fine. But you don't do it at the sacrifice of this, and you also remember that you win the fight off of the core. You win the fight off of the battlefield. If your Echo Tracer pop on the flanks, you're gonna win. And not only that, but you are designated for that role. Because you could argue before with 250 HP and buffed Inspire that you're a lot more flexible, but now that your armor, like you're significantly squishier and you're really, most of your value comes from your armor packs, there's no value to being here as opposed to being here. Your armor packs are designated not to heal tanks, but to heal DPS and squishies. And your DPS and squishies are dying around you and you're surviving or playing on point while your tanks die anyway and you're risking your life. But yeah, right here, like this is a great situation where all you have to do is keep Dove alive and you're gonna win. Keep Dove alive, don't let this Tracer do too much, and you're gonna win. You have the point, you have the high ground. Oh, Dove and Dynasty, like look at this. You don't win with what this monkey does. I get to actually unironically say this, I'm not insulting Gig, but what this monkey does. You don't even win what Icy does. You don't care. You just don't care. It's what Dove and Dynasty do. That's all that you care about. So I'm really, really hopeful. Yeah. Watchers. You're a worthless piece of trash. Like, I'm gonna say that encouragingly. Right now, you are a worthless piece of trash. That might change, but it's not likely to. Okay. I think you're a little over concerned about your Ana here. Like, even though there's a whole, like, the whole mindset is that, like, they need to, they can't just dive you. This is like where the trade happens, right? Like, they have to go in and clear your tanks before they can go backline. They don't have to, but that's generally what's going to happen. Is you're going to have an initial, like, cooldown trade phase, and then the dives are going to start happening because they have to fight for space. Like, they can't dive your Ana in here. It's just not going to happen, right? It's just like they're not going to happen. So your job number one is to like proc your Inspire, to pack your Echo and Tracer. Where is flipping Dove, man? Dove is still pathing. To keep these guys alive so that you guys get an advantage in the cooldown trade. Now you can and should use maybe one pack on a tank here, right, to get that cooldown rolling. But it's more important that you proc your Inspire, but you fail to do that. And I think part of the reason why you fail to do it is because you're incredibly late to this fight. You're thinking too much about your Ana, who did need healing initially, but you're too concerned about your Ana and need to be more concerned about getting an advantage here. Break Vibe Rue, but yeah, no Inspire. And again, I want to point out like how you guys are actually winning this fight. It has absolutely nothing to do with your tanks. Like, I appreciate Gig and Icy like making a game plan here and going aggressively and taking space. So I'm not saying it has nothing to do with your tanks, but it's nothing that you could have helped with, right? Outside of proccing your Inspire. It's this. Because the goal, when I say like flanks are what really matters and your tanks don't matter, I'm saying when you're playing Brig or Zen, which are the heroes that we've been reviewing a lot recently, you have a bigger impact on what you can support over here than over here. Like Armor Pack, Harmony Orb, it's not going to really affect this very much, but it will affect this significantly, right? And that should be the goal. It's the return on investment. You can Armor Pack your tanks. Yes, that you will get value out of that, but will you get enough? Will you get more? That's the real question. And right now, the concern is that like you're not even in LOS. Like everything you do revolves around protecting your Ana from dives. Well, you and your Ana, and enabling your DPS. And I'd actually put enabling your DPS higher than protecting your Ana, because remember, you don't have to be on top of your Ana protector. So if you need to position yourself like here to pack your DPS where you can still, cover, you can still bash away from dive, then I would prioritize that over positioning with Ana. I think your priorities are wrong. I think your priorities, it's like you're very concerned about your Ana and your DPS are suffering as a result. And honestly, how many times has your Ana died that you've been and that you've been actually able to help? I mean, not really any, right? It's either out of your control or it's just not happening. Nice whip shot. Obviously, pack your tank there. It'd be really sucky to lose Gig there. Yeah. Again, why are you packing Icy? Like, I don't care if the fight's won. Like, who knows? Like, maybe maybe their Tracer's 1 HP all of a sudden or goes in really aggressive. Like, you just don't know. Please pack Dove. Your priorities are still not packing Dove. He's getting his wings clipped, and you've done absolutely nothing. Look at you, look at you. You're playing Ring Around the Rosie. You're literally playing Ring Around the Rosie. Oh my gosh, this is absolute agony. He's gonna die. He's got his recall forced, and it's your fault. So, I'm not saying don't pack tanks. Just prioritize your DPS.
Just saying you suck.
Especially when you're in 28% rally. You're not getting a rally anytime soon, Chief, so. Oh my gosh. Does Dynasty just die in front of you? Dynasty just dies in front of you, doesn't he? Doesn't he? I'm just, oh my gosh. He just dies. Like, I don't know if you would have been able to change that or not, but you could have tried, Like, again, chat, do we see how, like, this fight is won or lost? Literally, like, Gig, Icy, what has happened here? I don't know. But Dove got his recall forced, and he's been able to have to be, MIA. Your Echo's lost a duel. All of these things that you could have helped with. And they can't do that if you're not playing properly. Nice. Good pack. Again, please third person behind cover, or third person, or just stand, or move. You'd never stand here. Stop standing here. Stop standing here. Pack Dove. Icy's really in. Please don't. I don't know about the pack. I'll give you some credit. That's probably okay. Good. Good, 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 good. Nice. Okay, so outside of like a couple of like little really tiny things, well played. Do we see how like this kind of like fluid? Like, okay, help the Tracer win the 1v1. All right, help my Echo. All right, proc my Inspire. All right, check back here. Okay, everything's okay. All right, now I deal with this. This is good. Okay, so major issues. I think like there's some mechanical things and like how you're using your cooldowns, but it just seems to be in general you just are thinking you have the wrong mindset. Like, I want to correct the mindset so that everything corrects itself, right? Just how, like, when I always coach positioning, I'm like, I coach positioning before I even talk about cooldown usage, because you can't use your cooldowns properly if you're in the wrong position. It leads you to make bad decisions. So for you, I'm going to go a step above that and tell you how to play your hero fundamentally so you know how to position. And for you, the concept needs to be your job when you're playing double bubble. Hey, my backline's, I'm very risk of dive, so I can't really play to counter dive as much. My Ana's a little bit safer. I need to help my DPS because my Ana can't do that. We don't have Harmony, don't have Discord. I need to help my DPS. Okay? And then with the Zen Brig, wherever you might play that, is you can be, obviously you're still protecting your DPS, you're still playing a side lane, but you need to be tighter to your Zen because either one of you is dead to ball tracer. And the thing is, Lep, is you can't, like, I want to coach, I want to help, but you should be able to take this and go coach yourself. You need to be able to go like take this information and like, okay, well, why did he say that about the honor? Like, what if this stops being meta? What if it's double sniper with like Orisa all of a sudden and you're playing Brigitte again? Well, okay, then what should be my job here? What am I good at? What can I bring to the table? Like, don't just autopilot. Well, Brig swing armor pack and whip shot enemy team away. You have to adjust. And I promise you, I've never coached this. And I also promise you that I'm not a genius. But I can look at this and say, hey, Ana can't help these guys as much, so maybe our Brig should do more. And hey, Zarya Bubble makes it so that you can't bash Monkey, so maybe I should play a little bit more safe, right? You can make those adjustments, so you need to go out and figure it out on your own. Lep's brain doesn't run at all. The hamster's dead. The hamster wheel, like the hamster's fallen off of the hamster wheel and has passed away.